Chris, nice to keep with that continuity after a good win like you've had on Friday night.
Yeah, continuity is always a positive, and I think especially after a week we had, it was good energy and definitely a good performance. So just to maintain that continuity would help a lot.
Do you think the Bulls are in a good position when you think that you've played the Chiefs there against their A side, if you can call it, or their best team, but they haven't played against the Bulls first choice, and especially here with the home game at Loftus.
Yeah, obviously we got 5 points against Lyon, and then resting some guys against the Chiefs in that second leg. So if you look at the log, we've got 2 games to play, which is obviously Exeter and Lyon, and if we can win this one, it'll put us in a good position. So we're definitely confident, but just looking at our team, like you said, the win the last week definitely put us in a position to get good confidence and good momentum. So for us, it's just to improving that process and then making sure we get a good win.
Chris, taking from what you've just said and what was asked, obviously there's a dynamic at Loftus, and you want to keep that dynamic at Loftus. Taking also into consideration, it is a good championship team that you actually play against. Not to take anything away from them. How much motivation have you taken from the last week's win, and how much of the Fort Loftus spirit, I would put it, would you gather for tomorrow's game?
No, it seems, I think that's a good question. Exeter Chiefs is definitely a phenomenal side. Okay, so they're a quality side. We all know when you play in the Champions Cup, then it's almost like a test vibe. I mean, the energy just lifts. And then if you look at what we experienced the last probably 5 weeks of all the travel back and forth and not being able to play at home, so this is our first home game. So to answer your first question, in terms of the confidence we got over last week, that's massive. Going there, playing that time of the year, it's not a lot of teams that are successful in. So that has contributed to our good spirit this week. And then coming back to Loftus, I mean, Fort Loftus has been good for us for the last probably 100 years. So it's a nice pitch, it's a nice stadium, we've got great fans. And we try to use that to advantage, and we'll definitely try to do that tomorrow.
Just a follow-up on the team and the team spirit. Obviously, we've heard what Jake said before the Heineken Cup started, and you were still in the URC competition, even last season's URC competition, looking forward to the Heineken competition. You have to juggle your players, you've got to manage your players. Do you think you're on top of that? You're happy with that?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you look back, I think, if you look, to be honest, I think Jake has got a lot of experience. He's sometimes look far into the future. So he was the first guy that did that. There was a lot of, obviously maybe criticism in the beginning, but now the Sharks have done it. Everybody's speaking about the travelling, but in the end, what he just said was, listen, we need to be patient. We all know the Champions Cup is an unbelievable competition to compete in. It's exciting. We're playing against the best. I know the final is sold out. And then I'm sure a lot of South Africans will go to that final. So all of the South Africans would like to compete. And with that, you need to be able to run 2 competitions. So in terms of resting your players and trying to get that balancing act right, I think we're still learning. It's our first year in this competition. But I think we're almost like the turn of the new year has brought new energy into our team. So I definitely it's going to serve us good in a couple of months.
Chris, being the backline and attack coach here at Loftus, are you in a way disappointed that we won't see Stuart Hawke against the likes of Kane and Moody and Kurtley Arendse tomorrow?
Yes, I think obviously I'm sure Stuart would have loved to play. I think he's got a little bit of injury. It's always nice to see the best against the best. He's probably one of the best fullbacks currently in the game. And we all know what Kurtley can do in Kane and David Kriel. So, yeah, I mean, but I think the majority of that team is probably the same. They've got some good, exciting backs, the Simmons brothers, Slade. So we'll like Sim said, I think they're a class act, and we'll know we will have to be at our best tomorrow.
I miss a guy like Matanzima in your starting lineup as well as in your bench.
Yes.
Is there a specific reason for him?
No,
I've just watched him over the years.
Yes. No, we all know Simpiwe is it's a great talent player. I think it's just part of that question you asked earlier about rotating and giving some other guys opportunity to make sure we get our group well rested, but enough game time to serve us well when something happens to the other guys. So it's just basically rotation.
Just a couple of selections I'd just like to ask about. First of all, at 13, Wandisile Simelane has started a couple of games there now for you guys. Start of the season, he was very much used full-back in the back three, that sort of thing. Obviously, he played a lot of 13 at the Lions. Is this just giving him a run at 13, or is there more? Is there some sort of more long-term sort of plan there for him?
Good question, Ken. So basically, when Wani came, I think Jake had a good chat with him in terms of his career pathway. So one of those was just to develop him as a multiple position player. Okay, so he was then put into fullback and to wing, and with that, his skill set has grown over time. And we all know he's a solid 13. And then we've got obviously Cornell and Lionel Mapu. That's been in good form. So this is basically part of that process, giving his opportunity at 13 while settling in that other positions. So he's played last week, so that's probably his first game at centre, and he's done well, done nothing wrong. So we just felt that he needs another opportunity just to be in line with that career pathway that Jake has set out for him.
And then Chris, just chat us through the choice of fly half, Chris Smith starting, Jan Goosen on the bench.
Yeah, so Chris obviously was ill last week, so he would have started last week. He was just maintaining that momentum. And then Goosen ideally would have played fullback, but with the box just being with us for another week or 2 weeks, this week and next week, we just want to push as much game time out of Curtie and Kanan. But Johannes in a good space, so I mean he's definitely going to play fly-half in the future with Chris. So we're just trying to balancing that act to make sure that both of them are in good form come playoff time.
And Chris, lastly from me, much of the week the talk has all been about Exeter Chiefs and how powerful and big their pack is, how physical the game is going to be. And yet you guys have perhaps taken a bit of bulk away from your loose chair with Nizam Carr starting and no Carl Brink. Is Carl injured, or are you guys looking to really play a high-tempo, high-pace game, altitude, heat, that sort of thing, and really move Exeter around a lot?
Just in terms of Carl, yeah, he's got a little bit of injury, so it looks good. So hopefully we'll be back next week. Just in terms of our pack, I mean, I think if you have to be honest, obviously we've got a good pack. So it's been one of the strengths of the Bulls over the years. So I don't think we must just underestimate our pack. So they're dominant, they're physical, and then they can play the fast game. So playing at Loftus, we'd like to mix that up, and then obviously use the altitude to get advantage. So I know Exeter's got a good pack, but I mean, by no means we don't have a good pack. So Nizam just fills in there. He gives us a good mix between playing obviously direct, but a good link between the backs and the forwards.
Hi, good morning, Chris. Hope you're well.
Hello, Asfak.
Chris, obviously a good win last week. Considering the results a few weeks before that, but Ruan Okia felt that it wasn't the best performance from the Bulls. Obviously, your scrum went really well, but what would you say are the major improvements that you want to see against Exeter compared to last week?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Ruan said, but yeah, I thought it was brilliant performance. Okay, so I think what might have been suggested is that we were definitely on top of them in terms of the scrums. In terms of game management, our kicking game were exceptional, kick chase. I think when we had them under the pump, I think we definitely slipped. And I think that sort of maybe concentration lapse or sort of error rate is what maybe you referred to. So, but defensively, we made a good step off. Discipline-wise, I think it's probably one of our best. And then if you look at how our scrum and our maul performed in those conditions, plus the kicking game, it was a very good performance. So I think he would probably only refer to the moments where we obviously let the pressure off. And then obviously that is part of the growing process for us. It's definitely part of how we manage the game and get everyone on board to not let that happen. So that's been probably our biggest focus the last couple of weeks, and it's been, the last week was actually a great showing of that.
And you must have been really happy to see the guys pull off the bonus point in the end, but as you say, there were also a couple of chances that you missed out on. Goosen seemed to really give a cutting edge, especially in the first half. He took on the line quite a lot, and we saw the line break in that. Is that something you want to see from Chris as well this week? I know he's probably a bit more of a percentage player compared to Goose.
Yes, so I think the moment you referred to was when Goosen was obviously at fullback receiving the kick. But we're going to do that just in terms of Goose, of Goosen. I think what happened after his injury is obviously he was being pressed to get quicker into form and not allow the process to take its time. So we're getting a good feeling about Goosen and Chris. So I think Goosen is in a good space. And what was nice last week, a part of the 1 of 2 concentration laps, is that he did exactly that what you just mentioned. And then with him and Chris at 10 and 15 sometimes gives you a nice link between. It's almost playing with 2 fly-offs, but gives you a kicking and running option. So Chris will definitely do that, and he will give us a nice balance of control. And like I said, Goosen, I think he had a great game.
Chris, Exeter, obviously the 44-14 was a very different Bulls team in Sandy Park. This time around, is it more case of you taking the fight to them instead of just trying to hold on? Obviously, your first choice team, and you had Loftus. What do you expect from them as well, Exeter?
Yeah, so we all know Exeter is a renowned team for how they execute in the 22. So if they get in there, they're quite effective. And then we know they don't really play in their half, so when they get into the middle of the field, they are quite prepared to play in both phases. So when we played them last time, obviously some guys stayed at home. But if you look back at that game, we were early up, then they scored 2 tries, and then we were held up twice. Okay, so if you get those 2 tries, a different picture. And the tries they got was basically of silly errors we made in the middle of the field in that zone, which then they obviously pinned us on our 22. So, yeah, so we're really looking forward to this week. The guys have prepped well, and the only way to test yourself is against the best and to obviously show that you can do it. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to that.